It's pretty rare for a film to cause a massive stir before it even hits theaters, but that's exactly what's happening with The Bengal Files. So today, we're going to break it all down. What is this project, and why is it so incredibly controversial?
Okay, so at its most basic level, yeah, it's a film project. But that's just scratching the surface, right? As we're about to see, The Bengal Files is really this flashpoint, where art smashes right into political commentary. And well, that's where things start to get really interesting.
So this quote, this is straight from the filmmakers, and it gives us our first big clue. Listen to the words they're using. Emotional, real, painful. Right off the bat, you can tell this isn't trying to be some detached, neutral documentary. Nope, they're aiming to capture human suffering, and, that immediately raises the stakes for everyone involved.
All right, so let's get right down to it. What is The Bengal Files?
So here's the official definition. It's a socio-political film, and it's all about what happened after the polls closed in West Bengal. But the really important thing here isn't just the politics, it's the perspective. The story is being told through the eyes of the actual families, the women, the activists, the people who are right there on the ground. It's aiming for a really human-centric look at a super complex situation.
Okay, so we know what it is. Now, let's dig into the narrative. What's the story the film is actually trying to tell? And maybe more importantly, what's the goal? What are they trying to do by showing all this?
So if you were to sit down and watch this movie, what would you actually see on screen? Let's take a look at the specific things the film is set to cover. From what we know, the film is going to show some really intense stuff. We're talking about the raw conflict between political parties, but also the devastating results of that conflict. Houses being burned down, people being forced to leave their homes. And it doesn't just stop there. It apparently follows what happens next, the attacks on workers, and the long, hard fight for justice that families have to go through, especially when they feel the police and the administration might be biased against them. But, just showing these things, these events, that's only one part of it. The real question is, why? Why show all this? I mean, it's one thing to document a conflict, but it's another thing entirely to have a specific goal for doing it.
Well, according to the filmmakers, their mission is pretty clear. First, they want to shift the focus away from the political chess game and onto the real human impact. Second, they want to give a platform to the voices you don't normally hear in the mainstream news. And third, they really want to drive home the point that it's the ordinary people who get hurt the most in all of this. So, in a way, they're framing the film as an act of bearing witness. And that very idea, that's at the absolute center of this whole debate.
So you can imagine, right? A film that says we are here to bear witness to this kind of political violence, well, that's going to make some serious waves. And that brings us right to the heart of the whole thing, the massive controversy that's swirling around this project.
So why? Why has this project become such a lightning rod? Well, it really boils down to two totally different ways of looking at what the film is trying to do.
And this pretty much sums it up perfectly. On one side, you've got the supporters. They're saying, look, this film is showing what really happened. It's giving a voice to victims who deserve to be heard, and this is fundamentally a human rights issue. But then on the other side, you have the opponents. And they're saying, hang on a second, this could just be one-sided propaganda. The events might be exaggerated to make a point, and this whole thing could just be a tool to influence politics. It's this complete clash of perspectives that's fueling the entire fire.
Okay, so with these two sides clashing so hard, where does that leave the Bengal Files right now? What's the current status?
All right, so here's the deal. Right now, the film is either still in production or maybe in post-production, but getting it in front of an audience, that's not a sure thing at all. It's facing some pretty big potential roadblocks, like censorship or even legal challenges. And because the topic is so politically charged, you better believe that every single move they make is being watched like a hawk.
And really, this is what it all comes down to, isn't it? This project is caught right in the middle of this massive tug of war. Is it artistic expression, or is it a political statement? It's kind of stuck in this gray area, being pulled in two different directions by art and politics.
And that leaves us with one last really big question to think about. When you take a story directly from a real-world political conflict, where do you draw the line? Where does art that just documents what happened become art that's trying to influence things? That's the question right at the heart of the Bengal Files. And ultimately, if and when this film comes out, that's a question that every single viewer is going to have to answer for themselves.